All right, good morning, and I guess evening over there in EU. This is the Overwatch PIT Championships. This is the second half of the European quarterfinals. I am Jamerson, joined once again by Sideshow. Sideshow, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very good. I want to see the rest of this playoff develop. This bracket is looking spicy at the moment. We had some great games yesterday, some unexpected results as well, and I'm hoping for nothing less today.
Yeah, I already saw actually in Twitch chat, people were asking, how did NIP lose yesterday? Could you explain that to them, Sideshow?
Um, they played an incredibly close game against Movie Star Riders, but we said going into it that it would be a battle of the styles. NIP are a very strong team, but they have quite a set style that's fairly weak to the dive compositions. Movie Star Riders definitely took it to them, and they had a really close game on Nepal that could have gone either way. They had basically across the board, it was incredibly close play, and NIP even looked like they were performing better on the first map, Hanamura, and then it was so even on Nepal. It was one of those things where the underdog just comes through in the clutch moments, I think, and there was some fantastic play, great ult economy from Movie Star Riders. They're a team to watch out for, even if I don't think the exact same result would happen if they played again.
All right. Yep, those were our games yesterday. But today, our first match of the day is going to be eUnited facing off against Team Dignitas, and it looks like we're almost ready to get underway. We're starting off on Route 66. So, your thoughts on eUnited versus Dignitas on Route 66?
eUnited have been one of the teams in Europe that really pioneered this triple DPS strategy. Back when they came back from Korea, they'd restructured their team and the players on it so that they've moved Cruz over to the Genji position. It works really well with them because they've got a nice setup where Cruz has really started to master the Genji and get really good with that particular hero. They've got Unfixed, who plays a really good Pharah and 76, so he's perfectly fits into that kind of flex role in the triple DPS. And then they've got Valetaja, who for so long has been an excellent player on Tracer. So it fits well within their team. They've been trying just to perfect that role. They kind of got dismissed though when they played NIP earlier in the group stages. So this seems to be a team that the interesting thing about that match was that they didn't look like they were playing at their peak. It wasn't that NIP were playing incredibly themselves. So perhaps this is a team with some ups and downs, even though they've been great in the past. You would expect them to come out with the win here against Dignitas, but this is two teams that kind of favor the similar kind of style. It'll come down to who wins it, who can perform better on that style.
All right, it looks like we are getting the final ready ups. I believe that should be both teams and all the casters. We do have the Russian and French broadcast going on at the same time, I believe. And so as soon as, I think we just need the admin to see it and start up the game. And so our first match of the day, it is going to be eUnited facing off against Team Dignitas, Route 66. Our other match of the day is going to be Misfits facing off against Laser Kittens. So a lot of people were really excited about the Laser Kittens pickup, which got announced, about a month ago. And so since then, they've been performing rather well, and I think they found a really deserved spot here in the quarterfinals.
I think they've been performing reasonably well. I think they kind of squeaked into the playoffs. It all came down to that final match where X-Rocks really could have just replaced them and gone through to the playoffs instead, and Laser Kittens managed to squeak through based on like the head-to-head performance and the points that they generated against lesser opponents, and the fact that they'd gotten some decent results earlier on with that upset over NIP in their first game of the tournament. But when they're going up against Misfits, there was this kind of trash talk when they first formed the team that Misfits were too scared to scrim them. You know, they were trying to form like a rivalry against against Misfits. Alicus, the guy who runs Laser Kittens, is the former general manager of Misfits, and Zapre, who was on the team, no longer seems to be part of their starting lineup. Was a former player for Misfits as well, so there's a bit of a rivalry there.
All right, so now we are loading into the map. We are getting this underway. Once again, it is going to be eUnited facing off against Team Dignitas. Dignitas will be starting off on the attacking side here. Now, what kinds of compositions are we going to be expecting? A lot more triple DPS, just like yesterday?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we saw in the first match yesterday that when you have two teams who really favor the triple DPS, you can get some unusual results or more unexpected results, because it really comes down to who's mastered playing into and with that style rather than rather than playing against a different one, it's a very different mental game, I think, when you're playing a triple DPS into another composition. You're trying to pick out the weaknesses and the flaws and maximize your impact by taking out key players on the other team. Whereas when you're playing into a triple DPS and you're playing triple DPS, it just becomes about eliminating your own weaknesses rather than focusing on the enemies. So when we saw the teams play yesterday, it was incredibly close games on that. VVZ Adventure came out with a really strong performance. But here, I've got to say that overall, eUnited have looked like the stronger team with this particular composition, but Dignitas have started to rise up. Like they used to be a fairly irrelevant team when you're talking about the top tier of Europe, and they've started to look better and better.
All right, already, yep. We are going to go ahead and see that triple DPS from both sides. It looks like mostly mirrored composition, but Vainless will be picking up that Zen. He said in chat, Zen leaked. And so he's going to be pretty key here, especially to deal with Sherrick on the side of eUnited.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be an interesting one. Playing it on the attack, you normally see the Zenyatta on the attack and the Ana on defense. They work out slightly better when they're running the triple DPS compositions, very popular. But we'll have to see who goes for the first engage here, because that could be pivotal. And at the moment, Sherrick's just kind of hiding in this tunnel, waiting, trying not to take early damage.
Yep. He does have to be careful here. They haven't quite spotted out the Zen yet. The orbs are there for them. And now we do have them jumping on top. Sherrick already in the back line. He's got a nice bubble placement there, mitigating a lot of the damage. It's going to be Unfixed that gets the first kill. But it's going to be Winston traded for Winston, so less meat on either side. But Cruz coming in. He's getting resets on this Genji right now. Drops a little low, has to pick up the health back. But now he's on to Evoke. Tracer trying to hunt him down just a little bit. We'll see if they can clean up this kill. No, they're just going to go ahead and back off and reset.
Here's the thing I was talking about with like trying to minimize your own weaknesses in triple DPS compositions. You've got two comps here with really high damage output and fairly low health pools apart from the single tank on Winston. So What7 dived in there and the rest of his team were so distracted they couldn't follow up, and that card just gets blocked and stays on block for a while. But now Sherrick's died, so the potential here for this attack to go.
Thing is, Bromas had to commit his pulse bomb for that. Balataya is actually still sticking on his. Vainless dropping a little low, and it's going to be Linkster that cleans up Balataya in the back. We didn't get to see that. Drew's dropping a little bit low, and it's going to be Toxican that cleaned that up. So now man advantage in favor of Dignitas as the tactical visor does come out from Unfixed. He's got that nano boost to work with it too, getting that first kill onto Vainless. And so now this offense being stymied, it's going to get shut down. It's going to be another reset.
Yeah, they're trying to apply so much pressure onto Rubicon, actually. They've had the Discord Orb on him for the majority of the end of that fight. You know, as soon as they get the first pick onto Sherrick, they want to take down the Ana, because that's a large amount of heals for this defensive team, and really allows the rest of their DPS players to go in aggressively when otherwise they would get punished for it. That healing is so powerful. And so all of the time they were focusing Rubicon with Bromas and trying to get What7 in onto him, and Rubicon just stayed alive perfectly.
Alright, Tactical Visor, as Toxican pushes forward, they're going to go ahead and pop that sound barrier on the side of eUnited. Morty has to just break line of sight here, drops pretty low to Toxican, but he will finally be able to clean up that kill. Transcendence was used on the side of Dignitas as they are just continually get these kills. It's going to be Linkster picking off Rubicon, so both supports down now, and Lexicon with that Dragon Blade is able to find a second, and so finally, they've broken the defense on the side of eUnited.
A lot of ultimates used there, though. Both of the support ults used pretty much at the same time, which I think comes down to a lack of communication within Dignitas, because if you stagger those out, you'll have much more impact with them. And then both of the DPS ults were required, the Tactical Visor and the Dragon Blade, just to wipe everybody off the card. So now the ult bank's starting to be generated here for the side of eUnited, and they should be able to lock them for another while in this street space. And when you're playing the triple DPS v triple DPS, very difficult to full hold on any particular point. It's about just delaying time, whittling it down, playing the clock, and eventually once you get to the end of the map, then you can start to hold them.
Alright, Payload making its way through that choke point right now. Bromas in the back line. Unfixed has to pop his healing station, but he gets tagged by that Helix Rock. It's going to be Sherrick that gets the first kill onto Vainless, though. Great pickoff for him, immediately taking out that threat.
Oh, What7's been slept as well when his Primal Rage is active. Sherrick just wanders over the top of his head, and Rubicon's getting pressured in the backlines, but probably going to be able to get back to his team and stay alive, especially because Cruz has popped off this Dragon Blade and is cleaning up the support line for Dignitas. So here's these ults getting into play, but they only had to use one there to take that fight, so this is getting a little difficult now as the ults stack up for eUnited.
I thought Dignitas was going to be in a good position in that fight before the checkpoint. Morty, you know, had to pop his sound barrier. Evoke had used his also, but because he stayed alive, he was able to build it up a little bit quicker. But now they've evened that out. And so the ultimate advantage definitely in favor of the defense right now is eUnited, just really aggressive. Valutaya just on the payload. It's going to be a 1-for-1 trade off screen though, but still that's going to work out so far as Cruz gets a second kill.
This time they focused down Rubicon really early on and did manage to get the pick there, but everybody else on the team just ignored Rubicon. They decided not to save him, and eUnited, especially Valutaya and Sharik, who were doing an excellent job of blocking the objective, just dived into the players playing around the point and took them out instead. So great awareness to realize when the fight is lost around your support line and go on the aggressive instead. And it's working really well. And look at Valutaja just the whole time stopping this cart going forwards. You know, always playing around the objective for him and Sharik, making sure they can't just get free ground.
Oh, Valutaya with a two-man pulse bomb coming out. That's Valence and Toxian dropping, and already eUnited just going to shut down this offense once again. And they're really starting to run out of time. 1 minute and 19 seconds left on the clock for them. Cruz on the hunt for Linkster, but Linkster will get the better of that exchange.
That might actually be pivotal for them because Cruz was coming up to his Dragon Blade as well, and he provides just a large amount of firepower for the team. So if they can get in a position here with the attacking ultimates where they pop them first and take some key targets out, they need to remove players before they use the ults on eUnited.
Yeah, sound barrier not getting quite popped on the side of eUnited. It's going to be Toxin coming forward with that tactical advisor. He's picked up 3 kills. Linkster is going to go ahead and get into the back and take out Valutaya. So finally, the offense breaking through here, starting to make some headway, but it might not be enough, as there will be an opportunity for eUnited to come back and contest this point.
They reacted a little too slowly with those ultimates as well. They tried to go aggressive with the nano boost and the tactical visor afterwards on Rubicon and Unfixed, and in the end they just ended up wasted because Dignitas had already got in the position. Now Morty is coming out with the sound barrier. They can try and recontest this. Cruz with the Dragon Blade as well, trying to get out of Vaneless, but he gets taken out. A combination focus fire onto him proves too strong, and this is going to be Dignitas taking the second checkpoint when it all looked so close for them. They've only got 10 seconds left, but dealing with Morty on the payload is going to allow them to get into the warehouse portion.
Yeah, it was a very slow start coming out from Dignitas there on their offense. They were really struggling just to get through that checkpoint. Cruz was just doing a really good job of every time the spawners tried to get onto the payload, he was just cutting them off and picking off like 1 or 2 members at a time, just slowing it down. Now, like you had mentioned, we are into the warehouse portion here. Once again, Bromas and Valutaya sitting on their pulse bombs, and they have been relatively effective so far.
They definitely have, and with triple DPS it becomes a game of who can use their ults more impactfully, but they've made a swap here as well. Genji Linkster moving over to Roadhog just for this fairly enclosed last little space. He's going to go for the hook, picks out Valutaja really early on. So
Evoke dropping really low, but Toxic having swapped off onto the Zarya will be able to clean that up, and now great swap off. I love seeing the Zaryas within the warehouse here. You need to really set up that decisive team fight. So if they can set up a whole hog Graviton or even a whole hog and pulse bomb, they're going to be in great position. But right now, they are on track for a pretty slow Graviton.
I'm kind of surprised that What7 didn't switch over to Reinhardt as well, because I feel like that's much more important at this stage of the map than any other. We might see that swap if he dies at some point, because it'll sync up nicely with the rest of his team, but they're forced to play in a bit more of a death ball, and that's allowing Toxican to build up his charge a bit. Promise has fallen, and there's the Transcendence as well, so they want to commit to this fight.
Oh, that was a clutch nano boost coming out onto Unfixed there, as he's going to go ahead and use that tactical advisor. Now he's starting to shut down the offense. Sound barrier did come out on the side of Dignitas, and a lot of this damage going straight into that barrier, but the Helix Rocket will finish off Evoke, and there we go, Unfixed, uncontested up top. With the help of Sharik, we'll clean that up. Now Brahmas has to keep this alive. It is in overtime. It's coming down to the last few moments here.
Yeah, and he's going to go down. The overtime ticker falls, and that is going to be as far as Dignitas get. They were just, you know, it's so unfortunate that they didn't have enough time, you know, because with a couple more pushes, they might have been able to complete the map, but that's the advantage of eUnited delaying them for so long in the other stages of the map, is that they only really give them 1-2 effective pushes in the warehouse, and they're not able to complete it. That Graviton, Whole Hog, etc., they're just not going to be live within that small amount of time.
Yeah, most definitely. They really did struggle once they got to that second checkpoint. Even on the first checkpoint, I believe it took about 3 team fights for them to successfully push it into that first checkpoint. So now they did make a good amount of distance though, especially there in their warehouse portion. And so as long as they can stall out eUnited's push here, they might be able to put them on a similar pace, but we'll see. Currently, I think eUnited really holding the momentum. Cruz looking top-notch so far with his Genji play.
Yeah, it's just one of the realities of playing the triple DPS on defense is that unless you're completely outclassing the enemy team in that you can win fights only using one ult consistently, and you can constantly initiate into them and deny them, or just simply outplay them whenever the ult's alive, you're going to eventually give up ground. You know, you're definitely going to delay them for a huge amount of time, as eUnited did there, and eventually going to probably stop them some time in the third checkpoint after they've run out of this extra bonus time you get for capping. Yeah. But it's very difficult just to completely lock a team out, like you occasionally see with other compositions, like the tanky ones, or with Mei or something like that. So Dignitas instead going over to that kind of composition because they want to hold them at any point before that period halfway through the warehouse. They want to go for a full hold.
Yeah, take a look at this tanky composition. You got the Reinhardt, we've got the Roadhog, and that Diva. And so it's going to be Linkzer's job to really try and shut down Unfixed on the 76 here, as we do have the gates opening up and they are onto the payload.
The risk of running this kind of composition, though, is if the snowball begins, eUnited are just going to run with it, and you don't have really enough damage to be able to stop them. You know, as soon as a couple of tanks go down and you start feeding ultimates to these super impactful DPS players, they're going to run with it. So they have to put up some good fights early on, I think.
Yeah, What7 just pushing forward, getting some free charge off. He's only got about 14% so far, and he's going to get cleaned up by Biotaya.
Oh, that's dangerous for them, but Toxican gets a hook on the other side. Sharik almost taken down, but Toxican actually falls instead. Unfixed on the Soldier 76, already putting in a huge amount of work alongside Cruz, and Rubicon's doing his fair share of the damage as well. So that's going to be almost a full wipe. Bromas, the last player, just keeping the card alive for a second, or rather keeping it stopped. And they're going to be able to have their players up to be able to recontest at some point if they go for like a repush through one of these tunnels. So Cruz is just spotting it out, seeing where they're coming from.
We're seeing the real strength of that triple DPS composition here. Once one dominoes falls, like the rest just follow suit real quickly. The snowball effect coming out with that much damage on as Cruz is getting into the backline. It's going to be Biotaya with that pulse bomb, taking out a crucial piece of the puzzle there in Vainless. And now it's already a 2-for-1 trade. Cruz on the hunt for Evoke, and he will fall. Bromas even with that Orb of Discord on him. That's going to be an easy cleanup. Cruz once again on this Genji with the help of Morty, just cleaning up the entirety of Dignitas.
They've got to play in like a death ball as they come through the tunnel there, Dignitas, and they just line up, and it's a swift strike dream for Cruz. He just charges through and gets like max damage on all 6 of them. And now they're pushing up so far that they can't really establish position as well. This is sensible, cerebral play from eUnited, locking out these tunnels, making sure they do early damage to them so they can't set up easy position. But at some point, Dignitas should be able to break through. These ults are taking a long time to charge on the tanks though.
But Vainless already has that Dragon Blade. Gets shut down by Toxican, though. He's on that hog. He does have the whole hog at the ready. Drop down about half HP. We'll be able to just take a breather and get back into this fight. Bromas just holding on the high ground now. Now he's on the hunt for Unfixed, who might be a little bit caught out. He will get cleaned up by Linkzer. Morty now a little bit of trouble. He's got to back off. He does have the Orb of Harmony. Keep him healed up for now. But accidentally kills himself.
Well, Primal Rage popped just to keep Sharik alive there, but he's going to fall to the whole hog. Toxican using that ultimate just to make sure that they're not able to delay and push them back, and they can continue this, because at the moment they've stabilized. You know, Dignitas, they feel good about that. The fact that he got the pick on Cruz when he was using his ultimate there, and he didn't have the backup of his supports, was pivotal for them, because now they're able to establish a defense. On second, they have the height advantage as well. This is where they can start to slow the game down.
Alright, Linkzer does have the high ground, and Toxican once again on that Roadhog, shutting down Biotaya. Now we do have the Tactical Visor getting used by Unfixed, but he's dropped down 10 HP. It's going to be Sharik that actually helps him get the better of that exchange, but now it's a 2v1, excuse me, 3-for-1 exchange in favor of Dignitas. He should be able to shut this offense down. Toxican will be able to clean up Unfixed.
Oh, What7 got a fat Earth Shatter in the middle of that. Rubicon had just come out of his Transcendence, falls to the ground, or as low to the ground as Zenyatta ever does, as he hovers above it, and got knocked to the floor along with Cruz. Picked up both of those kills. Really pivotal play there for What7 as they look to hold even further. Still 3 minutes, though, just for this checkpoint.
Sound barrier used as we do have Sherrick getting put into the sleep. Here's the tactical visor coming out from Linkster. He's going to be able to commit that kill onto Cruz, and now he's trying to finish off Sherrick here. He is dropped low. He will get that kill. That's 2 off of that. Pulse Bomb comes out, and Rubicon wasn't stuck. He just jumped right into it, and now Linkster just going uncontested on the high ground, getting all the free damage off. Helix Rocket to finish off Morty, and that's going to be another reset on eUnited, who had started off really well as they were able to get that first checkpoint after 2 team fights essentially, and now they're getting shut down for the most part.
And they're kind of feeding ult charge over to Dignitas because they need to sync up some kind of support ult and a DPS ult, I think, because they don't have the nano boost online and they can't pair that, so they need the health to be able to go in with their kind of squishy DPS players into this tank line. Toxicant does so much damage, so does Linkser and Bromas, and they're just getting individual picks all over the place. You see, like, first of all, Valitaja falls, then Sharek, now Unfixed. They're just so split apart. They can't find the opportunity to attack with ultimates. They need to generate some.
Yeah, this is about the 3rd time that Toxicant just shuts down the offense on the onset with that huge pickoff onto Valataya. So Valataya has got to be very careful if he tries to get into this back line. He needs a little bit more help, a little bit more support from the rest of his team, unless otherwise it's just an easy hook for Toxicant, it seems.
But here comes the Transcendence. Rubicon building it up reasonably quickly. He's at 95% almost. And they've got a Dragon Blade to pair it with, and they've almost got that tactical visor. Evoke with this preemptive sound barrier, and Rubicon uses the Transcendence. All hog in, but here comes Cruz as well.
Yeah, he's got that Dragon Blade. It's going to be Valataya that gets the kill onto What7. Cruz not able to get any of those resets, and now it's Linkster answering with the Nano Visor. Playing line of sight is Morty, but he will eventually go down. Valataya's got to be a bit careful, but Unfixed will answer in kind. They are going to be able to just push them back, and now the offense starting to make some ground here with this payload, but they were really staunch there. They've only got 55 seconds, and at this point, I believe they were on a little bit of a better pace on the side of Team Dignitas.
Yeah, it was fairly similar though. They got to the second checkpoint with 10 seconds left, so we're talking 30 seconds here or there. It's actually been a really good defense by Dignitas, and they almost made that last one work with a really clutch nano visor at the end, but eUnited's positioning was perfect. They just split Valitaja and Unfixed off so that they couldn't get picked at all. They've got really low health pools, so they have to run away. Their positioning has to be great, and then they come back in later and clean up Linkser. So now Dignitas gonna try and contest one more time, but the Primal Rage from Sharek locked him out up top. What7 gets picked on the car.
Yeah, and so they're just playing the zone defense right now. Sherrick just holding up top and making sure Linkster and Evoke can't get in. It's going to be Unfixed, getting that kill onto Baneless. And just about the same pace here. They are going to be able to get this into the warehouse, but now it's the same problem that Dignitas ran into before. You're only going to get about 2 team fights, and take a look at where that payload was stopped.
Yeah, it's a fair distance to get to. It is possible within a minute, but they need to get great use out of these ultimates. At the moment, they have a pretty decent advantage in that Cruz is going to be up to his Dragon Blade if he gets some nice shurikens off, and Morte's got that sound barrier advantage, so this fight could be pivotal here.
Pulse Bomb did come out, but it got largely eaten up, but getting that pick onto What7 is huge, as now the resets are coming out. They are onto Toxicant. Cruz just hitting some nice right-click headshots. He's going to be able to dodge this Pulse Bomb. It's already 3-member advantage in favor of eUnited as Payload has continued to push forward.
And Rubicon and Cruz have still got their ultimates, the tactical visor as well. This is really dangerous territory here for Dignitas. They've got a couple more seconds just to get on the cart before it gets to that yellow checkered box, and Toxicant on the Diva. And then block the cart for now, but tactical visor pop from eUnited. Gonna get eaten up the most of it by that defense matrix. But this is make or break territory here for Dignitas, and they're losing players all over the shop.
Yeah, Cruz with that Dragon Blade. He also had the backup of that Transcendence just to keep him alive, and so eUnited, 15 seconds left, will be able to finish out this map against Team Dignitas, taking the early 1-0 lead in this best-of-3 series.
So close between the two teams as well, though. It just came down to that final fight in the warehouse, and the fact that eUnited didn't have to use as many ultimates to take the second checkpoint, so they're more prepared for that final stretch. And a really nice, or really interesting, change of style from Dignitas as well, to be both comfortable running the triple DPS and then the triple tank or 2-2 at times defense. So they've got a lot of flexibility, this team. They're just not quite as clinical with the execution as United.
And it looks like we're already getting Team Dignitas calling out that they want King's Row for their next map. How do you feel about that?
I think that's potentially the same kind of danger. I mean, this this map pool isn't great, I think, for Dignitas anyway, because if you're going to be facing them, they have the map selection because they lost that first map. Now you can take them to King of the Hill, but that starts to get a little dangerous, I think. Perhaps I think they would be better taking them to Nepal of any of the maps because they can really show their ability on the tanky lineups on a couple of the compositions. Like Nepal favors the more flexible teams, I think. King's Row is a bit more like Route 66, except I think the triple DPS comp is going to be even more effective. This could be playing right into eUnited's hands.
All right, and so final ready ups, and then we'll get this underway. Casters ready? Let's go. All right,
We're ready.
We're ready.
James.
Oh yeah, and looks like we might have another one of those short days. With the way that eUnited is performing so far, Cruz on that Genji has been finding so many openings so far, and there's been no real pressure being applied into the backline. Morty has died a few times on that Lucio, but for the most part, Rubicon has been doing a really good job of just keeping himself alive in these engagements.
Yeah, he definitely has. The guy's a stellar Zen. His Zen is actually very good, but his Ana's also very effective at being able to dodge the dive. So it definitely helps him. I think it comes a lot from the practice that eUnited have had. As I said when we first went into this, eUnited have been playing the triple DPS composition maybe longer than anybody. They've been playing it for a long, long time. I think they and Rogue kind of started the trend within Europe way back when, but they weren't playing in tournaments at the time. They were just scrimming. So then it kind of bled outwards.
All right, so Team Dignitas really trying to fight back here. It is match point for eUnited as we move on to King's Row. Dignitas wanting to start off on the attack side first. Why do you think that is?
In general, if they start on the attack, see, their variance in their team composition is mostly on defense. On attack, they know what they're going to run with. They're going to run with this kind of more divey composition. But on defense, they've got a couple of options depending on how well they do on attack. So I think it comes down to knowing your win conditions. They're going to push it as far as they can in attack, and they have a set strategy for that. But their strategy is variable on defense, and it varies based on where they have to hold in the map. So they want to know what their win conditions are before they go into the defending, I think.
There's nothing I haven't seen.
All right, and speaking of the defense, taking a look at eUnited, right now, they are switching things up just a little bit. They are going to go for a 2-2-2 comp instead of that triple DPS. So Unfixed swapping off. He's not going to be that Soldier 76. He's picking up that Zarya instead.
On the attacking side, they've got a double sniper composition just to peek out what's going on, but they quickly switch back over.
Yeah, we have a Pharah coming out.
Oh yeah, Toxicon over on the Pharah as well, but no Mercy to go alongside him. They're otherwise playing triple DPS composition, but with the Soldier 76 and the Pharah. So Bromas will be looking to take ground on the top right, while Toxicon flies above. Split attention.
Yeah, Toxicon doing a really good job of just staying out of line of sights of any long range damage there. Drop Sherrick down a little bit low. They had to go ahead and commit that projected barrier to keep him alive. Now he's starting to get really tagged here. Toxicon going uncontested. There's really no one to deal with him except for Rubicon, really, on the side of eUnited at this point.
I think it's quite interesting the way that they've started off with a Reinhardt and a Zarya as well. We definitely do see teams defending with the triple DPS comp here, but eUnited decided not to, and they find the first pick. Wat7 dies. That's going to start a bit of a snowball as the rest of the players fall. And although the positioning was pretty good for Dignitas, and they got into a decent position to do damage to everybody, they just couldn't find the target to pick off, I don't think.
Take a look. Linkster swapping off onto Widowmaker real quickly. Maybe just try to find that opening pick. They have been given a lot of space in this last minute 20 seconds. You saw both Toxicon and Bromas just from the high ground getting off free damage. They just weren't able to get any kills. Most of the damage going on over to Sherrick there, but he was getting healed up by Rubicon and Unfixed with that projected barrier, just keeping him safe the entire time.
Yeah, they don't have a composition that can really apply pressure to Linkster unless they dive really deep with Cruz or Volataja. And he should be defended, but he really isn't. They dropped the sound barrier there as well, but they've already got 3 picks. And an ultimate coming out of Bromas, that might not be the best time to use that.
Yeah, did have to deal with that, but already 2 kills going on over. Yeah, we do have the Graviton Surge coming on out, but is the follow-up quite there? They've already picked up 3 kills, and now Cruz is already on the hunt for more. He's just going to go ahead and back away, dropped a little bit low there. So, unfortunately, on the side of Team Dignitas, Bromas, with that Soldier 76 ult, with that Nano Visor, wasn't able to do much because Sherrick was just holding up his shield that entire time, eating up the large majority of that damage.
Even though he gets 2 kills there, it doesn't help him because 3 of his team had already died, and although that you've got the really short spawn, then he gets caught in the Graviton, and then another 2 players die. So now Cruz with the Nano Blade in, that's going to force out the sound barrier from Invoke, and he actually gets stunned in place. He goes down. The rest of Dignitas doing a decent job at getting rid of this aggression.
Now this is their opportunity. Bromas had swapped off onto McCree. He's picked up 3 kills here, and they're starting to really snowball this team fight as looks like What7 with that Primal Rage will be able to get that final kill onto Rubicon. And it looked like on the side of eUnited, they might have just overextended there as they were pushed all the way towards the backhand stairs there, and then I think they might have just gotten caught out of line of sight for Rubicon to really get the healing off. It was just a really awkward position for them.
Yeah, and I wonder whether Cruz had really thought through what he was doing there when he's using 2 ultimates directly into Bromas' face, who's still got the flashbang active, because that stun just shut him down instantly. And although What7 came in afterwards with the Earth Shatter as well, which completely ruined that whole...
I think every single CC landed onto him. He got slept, he got flashbanged, and then Earth Shattered. So it was kind of a feels bad moment there as the Deadeye is going to get procced, and Bromas will be able to get that kill onto Sherrick, but in the back line, Balu, Taya coming alive. That was a double kill off that Pulse Bomb, and then with the help of Unfixed, they'll just clean that up, and this is the position you want to be in with that triple DPS composition, just laying out damage into the choke point right here.
Yeah, both teams have made switches, but kind of chosen opposite compositions. So triple DPS here coming out from eUnited as they go for a really mobile, aggressive defense in the streets phase, which works beautifully. And more tanky composition looking for just individual team wipes coming out from Dignitas. But Toxican on 80% of his ult as well.
Yeah, it's going to be Cruz with that blade. He didn't receive that Nato initially, but now he finally does get it. He's going to be able to clean up too before What7 just lays the hammer down onto him. It's going to be a 3-for-2 trade. Should favor out the attacking side here as their respawn is so much closer.
This delay is starting to get a bit nasty for Dignitas because even if they get a team wipe early on in the streets phase at this first bend, which is pretty likely because they've got the sound barrier up as well as potential Earth Shatter and almost definite Graviton, they're still going to have to take another fight before they capture checkpoint 2, and checkpoint 2 is where the spawn advantage is the best for the defenders.
Alright, Graviton Surge at the ready. He's going to catch 3 members, but the sound barrier is going to mitigate a lot of this damage. Now, Volatile, once again with that pulse bomb, is able to get into the backline to find a kill. Now, What7 with that Earth Shatter. We've got the Nano Boost coming out onto Toxicant, but the barrier was right on top of him. He will be able to clean up that kill onto Cruz with that right click, and somehow Sherrick took a little while to go down, but he eventually will, and they're going to clean that up. Linkster had swapped off to Roadhog, and now Unfixed, just going for the last-ditch effort to try and stall for as long as possible and get that reset.
Linkster and Toxicant came out with a bit of a clutch there. Toxicant getting high energy, and Linkster just hitting shots and hooks all over the place to drag them kicking and screaming through that one. The early pick onto Evoke denied them the sound barrier. It was looking really nasty for them there. But now they've actually got the sound barrier to use here, so, you know, it was like a forced good ult economy coming out from Dignitas, but they're going to have to win this one. Bromas with the Deadeye, not going to be able to do it. It has to cancel.
Yeah, Pulse Bomb coming out once again. Now it's going to be Unfixed, pushing forward with that Tactical Visor. Already found a kill onto Baneless, and now the offense starting to fall apart here just a little bit. The checkpoint was not gotten there, as it was only 2.34 meters away, and they're going to be able to clean up now. eUnited just pushing all the way up. They're going to try and put a stop to them right here, right now.
Yeah, with the Nano Blade as well from Cruz, this is going to be absolutely impossible for anyone from Dignitas to get near the card. Bromas is doing his best with his blinks, gets put to sleep by Rubicon as he also finishes off Evoke. Nobody near the card, and that's a good defense by eUnited.
Yeah, we definitely saw Dignitas really struggling on their offense there, especially when they went for that 76 far play. It just they were not able to get damage that stuck. There wasn't enough pressure being applied, and that's why we're seeing in these triple DPS compositions more of a divier composition, just to be able to burst down the backliners, get rid of the healers. But we just didn't have that on the onset. Bromos with the swap off onto McCree definitely helped them out there, though.
It did. It was very late, though, and they lost the first... So they lost the early fight when they were first trying to take point A, and lost about another 4 of them, actually, and were only able to capture the point right at the end, as you said. And then when they went into the Streets phase, they lost the first 2 fights fairly handedly without eUnited having to use many of the ultimates. They were just getting a good dive onto them. And that not only slows down the ult generation and the snowball for Dignitas as they try and push forward, but it gifts a lot of ultimate advantage over to eUnited, and at that point it becomes really difficult to crack when you don't have much time on the board to start with. So although we were talking at the beginning about win conditions here for Dignitas and them being able to adapt their defense depending on where they have to hold, this is going to be really difficult actually to hold this triple DPS dive composition to not even get the second checkpoint.
Yeah, if they do get to just snowball off of point A on the side of eUnited, we've seen lots of teams running this triple DPS composition just immediately rush for that checkpoint and hold a lot of the defense players right outside there. And so we'll see if they'll be able to get that. We do have a pause call coming out on the side of eUnited, so hopefully we will get that. Never mind, Cruz, Fickle already changed his mind. Just 2 seconds off.
Just a prank, bro. Just a prank. Just upsetting their mental game, you know. Ask for a pause, immediately take it off.
Take a look at the defense though. They're going for that 2-2-2. Toxicin picking up the Roadhog this time instead of Linkser. So Linkser is going to be on that Genji now, and already we are seeing that triple DPS composition coming out on the side of eUnited. It's going to be unfixed on Pharah though to play their long-range damage dealer.
They have to not allow What's7 to be picked off early or Veinless. I didn't even say that because I thought it was so unlikely that Unfixed would be able to hit a direct from that range, but he absolutely destroys the Ana player from Dignitas, and this is almost game over here. This is going to be so difficult to recover from that kind of immediate battering on point A.
Yeah, and they are already far ahead in the ult generation here as Unfixed is sitting on 54%, but take a look at Valutaya. He's at 80. He's got a pole spawn for this next team fight, and Rubicon is getting that much closer to his Transcendence also. He's already at 76%.
They need to win this early team fight. They're pressing up. What's7 already taking a ton of damage. Gonna get healed up a little bit more by Veinless. What's7 again dropping really weak as Valutaya uses a pulse bomb onto him. But they're getting a couple of the trade kills here. They're looking reasonable. Toxicin's getting a couple of crucial hooks. So they're holding their own for now.
But the payload hasn't even made it into this choke point yet, and they're going to be able to get their respawns for this next team fight. So they didn't get a real decisive win there to try and reset this offense, and they're going to have to back off and give them some ground.
Fast charging ultimates as well from eUnited, and they've already got both of their support ults. Transcendence goes in. They've also got the Dragon Blade and the Barrage if at any point you need to use them. Dragon Blade already popped. Roma's going to reply with a tactical nano visor of his own that absolutely shreds people. Unfixed though with the Barrage. Oh, picks up Toxicin and Evoke before he dies.
Yeah, the defense looking in a really good position here. They do have to be careful as Cruz is still in the back line. He can try to pick off this Ana. He's going to go ahead and deflect as Bromos tries to challenge him. Yeah, still, there's 4 minutes and 20 seconds left. They don't have to push this payload that much further. Once it gets across this bend, it's going to be very difficult, especially seeing as how Sherrick does have that Primal Rage just to bat them off. Now, we do have the Dragon Blade coming up from Linkser. He gets that first kill onto Rubicon as Bromos is able to clean up Sherrick.
Unfixed with the high ground though, and him and Valutaya just making sure that they keep this cart contested for a while. Stop Dignitas from pushing up, but they've got the whole hog on the Earth Chatter now. Things are looking reasonable. The ult bank's starting to feels a little stronger for Dignitas here, but they've still got 4 minutes to hold on. Lots and lots of time for eUnited to work with.
Yeah, this is Overwatch, and a lot of these fights just hang on a knife's edge here as a hook comes out. It is going to be Toxicin off screen getting that kill onto Cruz. So now it's going to be man advantage in favor of the offense very shortly as they do try to push forward with that Primal Rage, but the whole hog used by Toxicin just to disengage. It's going to be What's7 pushing forward with that First shot to get that kill, and now another hook coming up from Toxic, and Toxic has been a really impactful player on this Roadhog so far.
He definitely has. He's clutched when it mattered. But my problem there with the Dignitas team fight was that they used a nano boost when the fight had already been essentially won. I don't know whether Vainless didn't quite realize, or Bromas called for it, and he didn't realize that the fight had already been won. But they used too many ultimates there, I think. They have to hold for another 3 minutes, and they just used 4 ults to win the single team fight.
Nice thing is, if this blade, along with the sound barrier, isn't used in conjunction, Bromas can shut it down. Here is the Transcendence, but Cruz isn't going for the blade quite yet. So Hook comes out, Toxic, and gets another kill. Bromas picking up double off that. And there we go, another shutdown as Cruz is trying to fight this back, but already it is going to go in favor of Dignitas. And now 2 minutes and 30 seconds, time is starting to trickle down. But once again, this payload isn't that far away from the end.
Toxicon is actually having a field day on Roadhog. The guy is just like, he's like a pig in muck, honestly. He's getting hooks all over the place on these 200 HP targets. He can essentially take down almost anybody on the enemy team, and they've gone for a Reinhardt now, probably to try and block the damage coming out like the poke from Linksa, Bromas, and Toxicon.
Yeah, Shark hasn't been having that great of a game so far here on the offense. So swapping off to Reinhardt, I definitely agree with. And now we do have Unfixed pushing forward. He's got that tactical visor. Cruz going in with the Dragon Blade. Now it's going to be Linksa to try to be the hero, but he will immediately go down. And it looks like eUnited have just done it. They should be able to get this 2-0 as, yeah, Vainless was the final person here. They're already pushing forward, make sure no one can get onto the point to try and contest. And eUnited with a quick 2-0 victory against Dignitas, sending them down to the lower bracket.
Yep, that's a little unfortunate for Dignitas, but I think it was perhaps the wrong decision to take eUnited over to Kings Row. It is a very snowbally map. It's very strong for triple DPS, especially in the streets phase and the end, where you can start a real snowball going as you get ults moving, and they walked all over them.
They really did. I mean, they stumbled just a little bit on their offense there, but they had so much time to work with that you saw them doing a really good job of just getting some of these dry runs out, getting the ultimates out on the side of Team Dignitas, and just going for that 5 ultimate push there at the end. They even did a nice play where they finally switched up. Instead of pushing through main, they pushed in from the left-hand alley to catch them out off guard, especially with that tactical visor there. They were not ready with that positioning at all.
Yeah, and they managed to use the Reinhardt shield to get them into a position to do that in the first place. So Sharek swapping off, got their supports further up, and the DPS players as well, to a point where they can use their ultimates later and when they're healthier, so they can get more value out of them, essentially. And all it took at that point was one team wipe as well. It's difficult, you know, if you have to hold for, what was it, 5 minutes almost that they had to hold that single, and if you lose a single decisive team fight, you've lost the game and the series at that point. So unfortunate for Dignitas, but eUnited proving that they are the better team overall, I think.
Yeah, I mean, just on the onset of Kings Row there, once they went onto the attacking side for eUnited, the Pharah just opening it up, I believe, took out Vainless immediately with the Rockets. They just should have played a little bit more defensively there until they saw the entirety of the offense, but man, just great Rockets coming out, and then from there they just snowballed off of that. But that is our first match of the day. eUnited taking that 2-0 victory. Our next match, it is going to be Misfits facing off against Laser Kittens. Guys, this is Overwatch PIT European quarterfinals, the second half of the quarterfinals. We did the first half yesterday, so we'll have our next match for you guys in just a short moment. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back.